The mahogany conference table stretched before me like a battlefield. On one side, my family, mom, dad, and my younger sister, Claire, sat poised in their designer suits, the embodiment of old money and entitlement. On the other, I sat alone, my modest black blazer from Target feeling like a flag of defiance. Dad slid a thick stack of documents across the polished wood. Sign the papers, Margaret. It's for the best. Claire has the business degree. She knows how to run grandfather's company. My fingers hovered over the inheritance transfer papers, my grandfather's final declaration of faith in me. 51% controlling stake in Montgomery Technologies, over $200 million. He had passed 3 months ago, and his will had stunned everyone, not Claire, the golden child, me. I earned my engineering degree while working full-time, I said, my voice steady. I know this company's products inside and out. Mom sighed, her manicured fingers flicking an imaginary speck of dust from her sleeve. Margaret, working as a waitress and taking online classes doesn't compare to Claire's Harvard MBA. Don't embarrass yourself. Claire smirked, adjusting her Cartier watch. Relax, sis, you can stay in RD. Someone has to do the grunt work. 10 years of their dismissal, their favoritism, their cold, calculated neglect flashed through my mind. Claire's private schools while I struggled in public. Family vacations I wasn't invited to because I was too busy working. Them refusing to pay for my tuition while Claire got a free ride. But grandfather had seen what they hadn't. During his final months, we'd spend hours discussing the company's future. You have the heart of an innovator, Margaret, he told me. Claire sees dollar signs. You see possibilities. And now they wanted me to erase his trust in me with a single signature. Dad leaned forward. If you sign now, we'll give you a generous severance package, enough to start fresh somewhere else. His voice turned silky. It's more than fair. I touched the key pendant around my neck, grandfather's last gift to me. What about the CEO interview? I asked. Shouldn't we wait? Mom waved a hand. The board already approved Claire. This is a formality. Sign the papers. Margaret, don't make this difficult. I reached for the pen, caught the gleam of victory in Claire's eyes. And then I heard grandfather's voice in my mind. When the time comes, trust your instincts. You're stronger than you know. I exhaled. Then I pushed the papers back. No. Silence. Dad's expression darkened. Excuse me? I met his gaze, my pulse steady. I said no. Claire's smirk twisted into a sneer. You really think you can run this company? You'll drive it into the ground within months. Face it, Margaret, you're not good enough. You never have been. A voice cut through the tension. That's enough. We turned as James Morrison, grandfather's longtime attorney, stepped into the room, a composed woman in an impeccable suit at his side. Everyone, he said, his voice calm but firm, I'd like to introduce Catherine Chen, CEO of Chen Tech Industries and your grandfather's chosen mentor for the new CEO of Montgomery Technologies. My family's faces drained of color as Catherine strode forward, hand extended toward me. Margaret, she said warmly, her grip firm, your grandfather told me so much about you. I've reviewed your product development proposals, brilliant work. I look forward to helping you take this company into the future. This is absurd, Dad sputtered, rising from his seat. She can't possibly. Actually, Mr. Morrison interrupted, his tone cool and authoritative. She can, and she will. Your father left very specific instructions. He pulled out another document, along with a small USB drive. Including this, he added, your father requested I play it once the attempted forced inheritance transfer was complete. My heart pounded. Grandfather had known. He had predicted exactly what they would do. The conference room screen flickered to life, and there he was, frail yet resolute, lying in his hospital bed. If you're watching this, he began, his voice as steady as ever, then everything has unfolded just as I expected. Margaret, my dear girl, I know they tried to bully you into giving up your inheritance. They never understood. I didn't choose you because of your degrees or credentials. I chose you because of your character. Tears blurred my vision as he continued. To my son and his wife, I have watched, with growing disappointment, how you favored Claire and dismissed Margaret's potential. You believed an MBA mattered more than resilience, more than integrity. You were wrong. He turned his gaze toward the camera. And Claire, his voice hardened, I've seen how you treat the employees, how you view this company as a personal ATM. That ends now. Margaret will lead Montgomery Technologies, with Catherine's guidance, And if any of you attempt to interfere. He sighed, shaking his head. Well, there are additional documents in that safety deposit box. I suspect you'd rather they not become public. The screen went dark. The silence was deafening. This is just the beginning, Mr. Morrison said, breaking the tension. There's more your grandfather left for you, Margaret. Shall we discuss the rest privately? I glanced at my family, Mom clutching her pearls in a dramatic near faint, Dad fuming, Claire frozen in cold fury. For the first time, I felt no fear, no doubt, no guilt. Just relief. I rose from my chair, standing taller than I ever had before. Yes, I said, let's. As I followed Mr. Morrison and Catherine out, my fingers brushed the small key pendant around my neck. Grandfather had given me more than just a company. He had given me the strength to stand up to them. And I had a feeling this was just the beginning. The next few weeks, what followed was a whirlwind of revelations. In a private meeting with Mr. Morrison and Catherine, I learned just how thoroughly grandfather had prepared for this moment. Your grandfather left you more than just the company, Mr. Morrison explained, opening his briefcase. That key around your neck, it opens a special safety deposit box at First National Bank. Inside the box, I found decades worth of evidence. Documents detailing my parents' systematic embezzlement, emails proving Claire had tried to sell proprietary technology to competitors, and the most damning of all, proof that they had attempted to have grandfather declared mentally incompetent when he first named me his successor. On another video, grandfather's voice spoke again. They never knew I kept records of everything, he said. I wanted to give them a chance to change, to recognize your worth on their own, but they never did. Catherine Chin quickly proved to be the mentor I needed. A self-made billionaire who had started as an engineer herself, she understood both the technical and business sides of the industry. Your grandfather reached out to me 6 months ago, she told me over coffee. He said he saw a kindred spirit in you, someone who viewed technology as a way to improve lives, not just make money. Under her guidance, I threw myself into learning every facet of the company. To my surprise, board members who had known grandfather welcomed me with open arms, sharing stories of how he had built the company from nothing. Even more revealing were the employees who came forward with their own experiences. Your sister tried to fire me for refusing to cook the numbers for her, the CFO confided. Your grandfather stopped her. He always protected us from their worst impulses. But my family wasn't finished. They hired lawyers, tried to contest the will, even attempted to spread rumors about my competency. And then came their final, desperate move. At my first official board meeting as CEO. I stood at the podium, prepared to present my vision for the future, when the doors burst open. My parents and Claire stormed in, a suited man following close behind. This is Dr. Phillips, Dad declared triumphantly. He is prepared to testify that my father was mentally incompetent when he changed his will. We have documentation. Actually, Catherine interrupted smoothly, we have something more interesting. She nodded to Mr. Morrison, who pressed play on a new video. The screen lit up, revealing grandfather. Healthy, sharp, clear-eyed. And the date? Just 2 weeks before his death. The conference room fell into stunned silence as the video continued playing. Grandfather was speaking with Dr. Phillips himself. So, you want me to declare you incompetent? His voice was calm, amused, even. And my son is paying you how much for this false diagnosis? On screen, Dr. Phillips shifted uncomfortably. Mr. Montgomery. Don't worry, grandfather interrupted. I'm recording this conversation for my granddaughter, Margaret. When she becomes CEO, she'll know exactly who to trust, and who tried to betray her. The real Dr. Phillips, standing right there in the conference room, turned ghostly pale. He took a shaky step back, away from my parents. I need to leave. Oh, stay, Catherine said smoothly, her smile razor-sharp. I'm sure the SEC investigators would love to speak with you about medical fraud. A strangled gasp escaped Claire. My father's fists clenched. My mother, ever the dramatist, let out a soft wail, as if that could somehow change the reality sinking in around them. They had lost. Not just the company. Everything. Their reputations, their influence, their carefully maintained illusion of power. You can't do this to us, Mom shrieked, voice thick with desperation. We're family. Family. The word echoed in my mind, but it felt hollow coming from her lips. I finally spoke, my voice steady and stronger than it had ever been. Family doesn't try to destroy each other. Family doesn't spend years tearing someone down just to feel taller. I let that sink in before I continued, my fingers brushing the key pendant at my neck, grandfather's final gift, and my constant reminder of the truth. Grandfather showed me what real family means: support, belief, building each other up instead of tearing each other apart. I met their stunned, disbelieving gazes and delivered the final blow. You have two choices: resign quietly from all company positions, sign the non-disclosure agreements Mr. Morrison has prepared, and walk away with your personal assets intact. Claire swallowed hard, or, her voice was barely a whisper, her arrogance finally, completely gone. Or, I said, tilting my head slightly, we release everything. I let the weight of those words settle. Every document, every email, every recording. I'm sure the press would love to hear how the great Montgomery family tried to defraud their own father and his chosen successor. Silence. Then, one by one, they folded. They signed the papers within the hour. 6 months later, Montgomery Technologies was thriving. Our new line of medical devices, a project I had secretly developed during my years in RD, was revolutionizing patient care. The stock price had doubled. Employee satisfaction had never been higher. I had kept grandfather's old office exactly as it was, with one addition: a framed photo of us from my engineering graduation, the ceremony he had attended alone while my parents vacationed with Claire. You see possibilities, he had told me that day. Now, sitting at his desk, my desk, I finally understood. He had seen the possibility in me when no one else did, and he had given me the tools to prove them all wrong. One evening, as I was finishing up late, Catherine stepped into my office. Your grandfather would be proud, she said, looking around. You've exceeded even his expectations. I smiled, running my fingers over the key that still hung around my neck. I had good teachers. She studied me for a moment. And your family? She asked carefully. Any word? I heard they moved abroad, I said, exhaling lightly. Claire's trust fund will keep them comfortable, but not extravagant. It's enough. And it was. I didn't need their approval anymore. I had something better: self-respect, purpose, and the knowledge that I had succeeded not through cruelty or revenge, but through hard work and integrity. Just like grandfather taught me. That night, on the drive home in my sensible hybrid, some habits die hard, I passed the diner where I had worked during college. On impulse, I pulled in. Inside, the familiar scent of coffee and warm pies wrapped around me. Sally, my old manager, was still there, greeting customers with the same kind smile. Margaret Montgomery, she exclaimed, wrapping me in a tight hug. I saw you in the Business Journal, CEO of Montgomery Technologies. Thanks to people like you, I told her sincerely. You gave me shifts that worked with my class schedule, covered for me during finals. I wouldn't be here without help like that. An idea struck me. 2 weeks later, Montgomery Technologies launched a new scholarship program for working students pursuing STEM degrees. We named it the Rose Montgomery Memorial Scholarship, after my grandmother, who had always believed in education. The first recipient? Sally's daughter, who dreamed of becoming an engineer. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's living well. It's helping others. It's proving that success doesn't come from stepping on people, it comes from lifting them up. Every morning, I wake up grateful. Not for the money. Not for the power. But for the chance to make a difference. The key around my neck reminds me of where I came from and where I'm going. I am Margaret Montgomery, CEO of Montgomery Technologies. And my grandfather was right. I see possibilities,